Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of the original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
All right, babe. Do you have anything to share with our friends?
So we're back.
We're back.
Okay.
I'm tired of saying we're back every week. That's why the people have shown up.
I need to know when we go live. I need the count.
I'm not giving you a countdown. This is not a live broadcast TV show.
Well, it's live.
You are not
me.
a celebrity.
I never said I was a celebrity. I just need to know.
You're making demands about how you want this to run.
Well, I also need snacks. I need a green room.
Ben has a giant bag of hot tamales sitting in front of him.
And I really want to eat all of them. I love hot tamales.
No eating whilst recording.
That's disappointing.
Okay. How was your week?
My week was great.
That's good. Do you have anything you want to share with our friends?
Nothing personal.
Okay.
But I shared this with you today.
Uh-huh.
I just sent you the link.
Yep.
And I thought it was pertinent to share with people.
It is.
Because we just talked about Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article this morning about two people. They didn't release their names, and I wouldn't say it anyways, but that died in Washington from looking for Bigfoot.
Yep.
True story.
Yeah, they're from
You would
Portland,
think
Oregon, our old stomping ground.
Yeah, they're from Portland, and they went out looking for Bigfoot on Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to come back that night, and didn't. They reported them missing. They looked for them for 3 days, and they found them. And they had, unfortunately, I will say, it is sad.
Yeah.
It's terrible that happened. The reason I'm bringing it up is I just think it's crazy that still in 2024...
You didn't finish your sentence about what happened. They died of exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just think it is crazy that there are still people going and looking for him to the point where they put themselves in danger.
In dangerous situations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy story, huh?
It is a crazy story.
Sad story.
It's a very sad story.
Because it was unnecessary.
Yeah, it was unnecessary, and, it's unfortunate, but, Bigfoot is out there, and who knows, maybe they found her, and she
it's
couldn't, oh, yeah. Bigfoot is a female, for sure.
Okay, all right.
And then she couldn't let them leave because the secret can't be exposed.
They had evidence that...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was Bigfoot.
Yep. So, okay. We've got a little time here to kill, so I'll tell you this.
We have time to kill?
Not
Are
Not really, but I do want to share this story because here's the thing about this story I'm going to tell you guys. Unless you are do not put that hot tamale in your mouth. Don't do it.
I'll back away.
Nobody wants to hear you eating.
I'll back
and
away from the mic.
Your big bits whilst. Okay. I am speaking to my friends here that would understand the situation that I ended up in, where I realized, oh, yeah, I'm a little weird. So, a couple days ago, we were playing a board game with some friends. And it's a trivia game. And the trivia game is based on different generations of what category you fall into. Do you know what story I'm going to tell?
I was there.
You were there. You were really paying attention.
Let me just say, I said this to you after. That was brave. To play a board game with new people. Because there's a lot of people in the world that take board games pretty seriously.
Yeah. And we're not those people. I just want to play a board game and have fun, but there are people that it's never fun. It's always competitive. But that's
I
not
could
the
care
story.
less if I win
Yeah.
or lose. And so, what I'm saying is, in my life, I have learned. I've gone and played board games with new people, and I've realized, whoa,
It's a dangerous situation. It
that
could make or
wasn't-
break friendships.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, there might be someone you know pretty well, and then you play a board game with them, and I look at them and I say, I don't know you anymore. I don't know who you are as a human.
And I don't know if I want to spend time with you
I don't know
anymore.
if I like you anymore. So, with that knowledge now,
Yeah.
I actually do not enjoy playing board games with new people. But anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. Go with your story. I apologize.
Yeah. So, anyways, they have all this different trivia, and one of the questions was, where does the term, or what does it mean when someone says they drank the Kool-Aid?
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And and anyone out there listening right now that has had any history of our true crime enthusiast circle, cults are a part of that, right? It's encompassing. It's in the subtext. So I start going off about the history of Jim Jones and the cult that he started, and that he poisoned the Kool-Aid with cyanide.
And mind you, there's
and
like
I am
8
giving,
people here.
Yeah, I am giving a history lesson, and the person asking the question just stares at me. And so I keep going because I'm assuming I haven't said the correct piece of history trivia that they are trying to get to.
It wasn't history.
And so
it was
then
slang.
I asked, wait, what is the category? And they look at me and say, or she looks at me and says, slang. I was like, oh.
Not current events.
You guys, the way people looked at me as I'm continuing to talk, and no one had any clue about the history behind that slang term. They drank the Kool-Aid. I realized in that moment, and I'm several other, just kind of, I guess, a refresher, like, oh, I'm weird that I know these random facts about insane things that happened.
Or you just dive too deep into this world. And it's time to reel
I think the story
it back.
of Jim Jones and his cult that he started.
Let me guess, you find it fascinating.
I do find it fascinating because he was very progressive in the fact that he played on African Americans. He started in the South preaching against segregation, which I think most people can get on board for. It devolved very quickly into other things. They ended up in like South America somewhere, and then everybody drank cyanide-laced Kool-Aid and fed it to their children. There's a reporter that went down there. It's a whole thing.
As you can tell, Sierra's continuing to give the
Anyways,
history lesson.
I think it's going to become more of a talked about thing. There's a movie coming out about it, and I want to say Leonardo DiCaprio, that's how you say his name, is playing Jim Jones in the movie. So everyone is going to be talking about it here shortly, whenever that movie drops. But
Are we?
until then, if anyone plays a trivia game, the answer is that just means that they conformed or went along with the idea.
Sierra said it means.
They weren't asking for a synopsis on it.
History lesson.
Anyways, so yeah, I figured that if you're listening to this, it's likely that you maybe understood my tangent of history lesson on Jim Jones' cult. Okay. So today, though, back to the original reason why everyone's here, we're recapping Season 1, Episode 19 of Unsolved Mysteries.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
We're almost done. We're almost done, right?
No.
20's,
19 of 600.
20's the cutoff, right?
No. Who's going first today?
I don't know.
You are.
Okay. I guess I'm going first.
Well, we're mixing it up a little bit because there's only 3 stories today. So we're each going to tell one, and then we're going to end with one that we researched together. Yeah. Separately, but together.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You ready for this?
Yep.
Got a bank robbery. That's what this one's about. At 2000 on Friday, June 9th. What's 2000?
An address?
Nope. Time-wise.
I have no idea.
All right.
20?
8 p.m.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
All right. 8 p.m. Friday, June 6, 1986. An alarm is set at the First Interstate Bank in Hollywood, California. A patrolman is dispatched, and he goes there, doesn't see anything on the outside, flashes his light, looks inside. You good over there?
You guys, I haven't taken my ADHD medication for a few days, and there's a tag on my sweatshirt that is
And it's bugging you?
I've got to get it off right now.
Hey, you're distracting, and people are here for the story, okay? Anyways, patrolman's looking in. He doesn't see anything, doesn't notice anything. He leaves. Well, the bank's closed all weekend. Come Monday morning, employees enter. They start opening the bank.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when the teller opened this bank vault.
And the assistant manager opens up the vault. Uh-oh.
It's
cleared out.
And here's the thing. Yeah, there was not a single indication of a break-in. There's no broken windows. The door's not broken. So you're thinking everything is fine and dandy.
Yeah.
And then you realize very quickly your Monday just took a hard left turn.
It has been cleared out. And they say almost $2 million worth of stuff. Money, coins, everything. Stamps. Sure. Stamps. That's what you kept in a bank
Learned that
vault.
from the last episode.
Yeah. So, and they notice there's an 18-inch hole dug in the bottom of the vault.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 18-inch thick concrete.
Yeah. That's no joke.
So they had dug a hole underneath the vault, into the vault.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty genius.
So we get Detective Dennis.
This was my favorite part of the entire episode.
I like this.
This might be my favorite person from the entire first 19 episodes we've covered.
I like Dennis.
Yeah.
Detective Dennis Pagan Cope. He comes on, and he works for the LAPD in their burglary division. He's a detective. He shows up, and they interview him, and he literally says, "I was in awe."
Yeah, this man had hearts on his eyes. If he was an emoji, it would be the emoji with the two eyes as hearts. He was smitten by this caliber of work he saw.
He literally says, he goes, "I knew instantly I was dealing with excellent and expert burglars." He goes, "I already knew these guys were going to be extremely difficult to catch." And then he says, "What I saw," he goes, "it was awesome." That's what the word he uses.
When he said that, I was
awesome.
Like, this guy is so funny.
But you know what? I respect it, because here's a guy. He's
obviously been doing this for a while.
Well, now he's dedicating every day of work for however many years he's done this or that to catching.
Yeah, to at this point be shocked or be odd or think something.
And I'm going to guess
it's got to mean a lot at that point.
I'm going to guess he gets a lot of guys that, one, they commit probably violence along with this. And here are these guys who, one, came up with, in a way, the perfect crime.
Yeah, no one civilians were hurt.
And he just realizes, oh, these guys, I'm not just dealing with a guy that decides to rob a bank and goes in there to rob it. These guys thought it through, planned it out.
They didn't drop their weapon when they tripped over.
And they worked on it for weeks. So they come to find out that they had dug a tunnel underneath the bank almost 100 feet by hand.
Yeah.
He said it would have taken them at least 5 to 6 weeks to do all this work. So they explain, and I've I've never lived in LA. I don't know, but there's storm drains
Mm-hmm.
where you can enter by walking in. They show them walking in, and you can get there from the street. They entered there, and from the street,
Yeah, I mean, it was genius.
Understorm.
Yeah.
they had dug 90 feet and then dug up. And they even said they brought in experts. And the experts like, oh yeah, these tunnels are they are dug
Correctly, so
so that
they don't
give
cave
support.
in. Yeah.
It's safe for them. They say these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Clearly. So they made off with the money. All right. They search in a 3-mile radius of the storm drains, like walking underneath all these drains underneath the city and that, and they cannot find a single clue. Mm-mm. There are no fingerprints.
There's nothing.
Nothing. So they got nothing to go on.
Yeah.
All right. August 22nd, 1987. So just over a year. An alarm is tripped at the Bank of America in West LA. And it was in the morning.
Yeah.
So they go to check and they open the door. Voila. There's a hole in the ground and the vault has been rummaged through. But it looked like the robbers had left in a hurry. They left tools.
They left some things behind.
And they only made off with $90,000 worth of stuff. So they even left what they said was an 18-inch diamond saw core bit. That's how they drilled the hole in the concrete.
So it
floor.
looks like a giant drum circle-y thing with like jagged teeth. I'm just trying to give a visual for the people who don't know what that stuff is.
I don't think they're really.
And it looks like it spins around, and on the edges, it's got
think a drill bit spins around? Is that what you're saying?
Is that what it does?
Yes, that's exactly what it does.
It's like that's
what it does.
I was correct, but the edges look like a bear trap. So, okay, here's my question. Okay. In all honesty, does that have to be hooked up to something mechanical? It's not done by hand. It's not like a crankshaft, like crank, 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 crank.
No, it'd have to be
spun fast. Okay, but it's like a humongo drill bit.
Yes, it is. That's how they dug the hole in the ground.
Yes, that's how they got the perfect 18-inch circle.
Yeah. So they left this stuff behind. They go down, of course, same thing. They dug a tunnel. So they start searching. And they said about a mile away, they found they called them a quad runner.
I love that they also let us know what a quad runner was.
I don't think they were as big back then. It's a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
We all know it as a four-wheeler now.
Yeah.
But I think back then, not everyone had them in their garage and they were running them on the weekends. I don't know. I was a kid
I just
in
thought
the
it
80s.
was cute
I don't know.
that they were
and my parents never owned
this
one ever.
contraption that they found. But yeah,
they found a
it's
quad
like
runner at the exit of one of the storm drains.
Yeah, Suzuki something or other.
Yeah. So they keep searching. Mm-hmm. They actually found another tunnel.
Yeah.
And everything was set up for them to start digging the hole in the bottom of the vault.
It was ready to go.
And that was at a different bank.
It was like at a West Hollywood or like a fancier part of town, right?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be their big one. They said, how much was the vault valued at?
They said if they had been successful with those two banks, that they would have made off with $10 to $20 million. The other one was, these two were in Beverly Hills.
Oh, Beverly Hills. Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, they would have made off with a lot. So.
But because they left in a hurry, now they've got some things to go off of. Yeah.
So, I guess this 18-inch diamond drill bit, they're not easy to purchase. They found out it had been purchased in San Francisco with cash, and the name they gave was bogus, and the address was in San Diego, which just goes to show the genius of these guys.
Yeah, and it was at a P.O. box. It was not even a real address as far as like a home address.
So they were going to all over the state, and they were going to San Francisco to buy the equipment. Then the address and all the stuff they were given to another part of the state, and then they were robbing a third part of the state. these guys clearly knew what they were doing. They searched the purchase of the quad runners, and same thing, bogus name with a P.O. box, paid cash.
Didn't they even have fake construction businesses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they were able to buy the drill bit, with a construction company that was invented with, that was the address in San Diego. These guys,
I can't
they
believe there's not a
covered all
movie
their
about
bases.
this.
They covered all
Featuring
their bases.
Tom Cruise as the mastermind, obviously. Or, you know what? There's actually these 3 actors that are great together in movies where they steal stuff.
Okay.
What's his name? Brad Pitt, Tom Clooney.
I know what you're talking about. I'm just going to let you work this out.
And who's the third guy?
Wait, so you, Brad Pitt, who?
Todd.
Todd?
No,
Todd Clooney?
George Clooney.
Okay.
There's a third guy. The
There
guy,
sure is.
the Boston guy.
The Boston
Not
guy.
Matthew McConaughey. What is his name? You know who I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly who
Okay,
you're
give me a
talking
hint.
about.
He's best friends with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he played in the Bourne movies.
Yeah, he's Jason Bourne.
He is.
What's his name?
I know his name.
Devin.
Derek. Yeah, this is literally break me off a piece of that fancy feast.
Okay, forget it.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, thank you. Not even close on any of those. This would be the perfect movie for these 3 guys to team back up again and do this as a movie.
You know what? You know what? If they tried to steal
Pending
it,
copyrights, I own it.
if they tried to steal it, I think Nicolas Cage would beat him to the punch before they could do it.
Nicolas Cage. He's too old. Oh, Nicolas Cage is not. I was thinking of, who's the guy that played the Penguin?
What?
Or no, the Joker. Who played the Joker?
I don't know. Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, I was thinking of Jack Nicholson.
We're never going to get through this episode.
I forgot to take my medicine. Okay, sorry, continue.
Oh, my word. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm just having too much fun with this. I just think this would make a great movie. Because
So-
this is crazy bananas.
All right. So those are our only clues.
Yeah.
The quad runner, the drill bit, and the stuff they left. They pulled one fingerprint off one of the quad runners. They
And these
ran
guys,
it.
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So that's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. Anyone knows about these? They did give a sketch from
Yeah.
the people.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
And they actually had the people that they bought the quad runner, and 2 different people gave a sketch. They look very similar.
They look like an average white guy from
Yeah,
California.
that was the best part. Is they tell us this is the description of him. He's in his 30s, 6 feet tall, rugged. That's what you get. Good luck narrowing it down from there. White guy.
White guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And the name they have is David Spalding, but
That's fake. Spalding, isn't that the name of like a golf ball?
well, the best part is the bank that they robbed was on Spalding Street.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, that's where
the first one. Yeah.
I love a little tongue in cheek. Okay. All right. What's
All right.
the update? Okay.
Are you ready
I
for
don't
your
say
update?
this very often, but I kind of hope these guys got away with it.
They did.
Shut up. Are you serious? They've never been caught?
Never been caught. They never were able.
'Cause
Supposedly,
that money, then that money wasn't marked or
No.
nothing. Yeah.
So they said that there was some other heist done on other sides of the country, but they didn't. They could never really
Couldn't really
tie.
connect him.
And then, but the statute of limitations for this ran out in 92.
So these people could
So-
even come forward today.
Yeah, I read that the statute of limitation for that robbery ran out in 92. So, or 93, somewhere in the early 90s. So it doesn't even matter. So then now they're not
home
even
free.
looking for them. They don't even care.
That is nuts.
But there were no other robberies that fit all that description done again.
No,
So
I think
these guys
they
got
flew
away.
a little close to the sun. And I think it spooked them that they almost got caught. And they were like, you know what? We've got the $1 million from the first one, $90K from the next one. I mean, if that was in the early 80s, it's about 3 times that amount now. They were probably like, oh, Let's call it good.
I'm sure they came up with some new scams.
You think so?
If you're that smart and you found a way to rig the system to the
I
point,
mean, yeah, fair.
they probably just said, "Hey, listen, this is getting a little too dangerous," and they came up with a
Let's
different
come up
scam.
with another alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I have no idea, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is nothing on these
That's
guys.
crazy.
And because there's been so many bank robberies, so many heists, yes, this is, it was genius, but there's been lots of robberies since then that are genius too. So
Yeah.
it's not like this even in the media is really
I had never even
so
heard
amazing.
of this. Have you? I mean, yeah.
No, I never have either.
Huh.
But
Okay.
that's
Well,
your
there you
update.
go. Interesting. All right, you ready for our next one?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this one is about a man named Perman Eugene Gilbert. Interesting name. I'll give him that.
I liked it. I think it's a cool name.
Have you ever heard anybody named that before?
No, that's why I said I think it's cool. Okay. Name me another person you've heard their name and never again.
I don't.
Exactly.
I was on the spot. I don't know. All right. May 23rd, 1982, in a small town of Hammersville, Ohio. 15-year-old boy trucking along the side of the road in his parents' lawnmower. He had just had a job down the street mowing lawns, okay? Makes a discovery off the side of the road. He sees what I'm going to guess he thinks is a mannequin. Turns out it's not. It is a nude.
Naked man.
It is a naked man. A dead naked man. Lying in the ditch. He had been severely beaten and shot. And later that night, the man was identified as 46-year-old Perman, an appliance repairman who lived just 7 miles from the place his body was found. So, this is where Unsolved Mysteries lets us know that the reason this is puzzling to law enforcement is he led a very seemingly normal, non-controversial life. His victimology would have put him in a category of rarely interacting with kind of nefarious situations that you could end up hurt. Yet, of course, because we're in a small town here, rumors start percolating that dark forces swirled around him. They used that term swirled. As the citizens of Claremont County, Ohio, began to discuss the murder, phrases like the term organized crime and drug trafficking and adulteress and jealous husband began to surface.
They said there's now been 3 theories that have come.
Yeah.
For what is Perman?
Mm-hmm. Perman.
With a P.
Yep.
Okay.
It's Permon. Perman. But it's, yeah. I listened to it multiple times to make sure I was saying it correctly.
Okay.
So, Perman was a husband and a father. He had 4 kids. He and his family belonged to the local Church of Christ. He participated actively in his church and in the community where he had actually lived his whole life, born and raised in this area. His hobby was flying airplanes, just like the little single, is it called fixed wing? Is that a thing? Am I just making that up? Just a small little hobby airplane that you fly in the cockpit, not like with the mechanical. People have that hobby of flying those stupid plastic planes around. And it's usually grown men. Okay.
I just like that you said
I
he
just
flies
want people to
around
know that he
in
was
the cockpit.
legitimately sitting in the cockpit flying airplanes. Okay?
He was a pilot.
He had a pilot's license of some sort.
What? Not of some sort. He had a pilot's
I think
license.
there's ranges. You can't fly that and then also get on a Boeing 747 and say, I got this.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, so there we go. He was employed full-time as an appliance repairman. Dying trade nowadays. Can you even find one of those guys around anymore? By a national company, and he was known as their troubleshooter. He worked for them Monday through Friday, but on Saturdays, he did independent service calls. Okay? This is when he'd go to people's houses and like, hey, just call me on Saturday. I'll fix this.
The company's going to charge you $150. I can come Saturday and do it for $120.
Yeah. But it's cash under the table. That's all speculation. But are just kidding. We have no idea. But
oh no, I'm pretty certain that's
so okay. Around 8:30 on Saturday morning. So he's worked his shift Monday through Friday. Saturday morning, May 22nd, normal day for them. He goes out to do these service calls. So he heads out for work and he tells his wife, Joanne, that he really didn't want to go to work that day.
premonition.
However, he didn't give her any reason why. So his service appointments, and I mapped this out on MapQuest. That website needs some serious updating. It is not easy to navigate.
It still exists.
Oh yeah, and it is ads. It was terrible. It does still exist, and you can enter it everything and then still print off your directions if you need to.
That's awesome.
Do you remember doing that?
Oh, of course.
As a teenager, and then realizing that you were out of ink, and so you're like barely able to see what you're supposed to do, and then you have to end up writing it out anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do you remember trying to follow those directions?
Yeah, as you're driving. Yeah. So his appointments take him that day to Mount Oab, Ohio, and then he went south to
Mount
George.
What?
Orab, O-R-A-B. Is that what I said?
I don't know. I just wanted you to repeat it.
Then he goes farther south to Georgetown, and then Aberdeen. Georgetown.
I thought you said Doorstown.
No, Georgetown. And then Aberdeen, Ohio. He ended up at the southernmost tip of Ohio when his calls were completed. Then he crossed over into over the Simon Kennington Bridge to Maysville, Kentucky. Okay?
Okay.
So, MapQuest tells me from his house to his first stop is about between 9 and 10 miles, since I don't have his home address. About 13 minutes to get there. Then the next commute from Mount Orab to Aberdeen is about a 40-minute drive. And then just to go across to the bridge to the store that he goes to, 2 minutes.
Okay. So
okay?
It's
about
not
an hour.
So it's not crazy for him to cross.
No,
because
at first when you were listening to it, you're like, man, this guy was like.
It makes it seem like he's all over the place. And then when they say, and then he went into Kentucky, you're like, it makes it seem.
Yeah, that's why I mapped this out, because I'm
way.
like, what? And because I think anytime we're trying to build a timeline too here to see
Yes.
where we're at. In total, one direction, give or take, is around 40-something miles, or about an hour's drive. So he was within an hour of his home.
That's not crazy.
It's not crazy, yeah. So after he completes the stops, he goes over into Kentucky into like a strip mall, and he goes into a grocery store of some sort. The checkout clerk is actually interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries. Her name was Anne.
It's clear he goes there a lot.
Yeah, everyone knew him there. She said they had some little inside joke where he'd always say, are you going to have lunch with me today, or something like that?
Yeah.
And they'd laugh. She'd say, no, I'm not going to have lunch with you. He seemed like he was friendly, a little maybe of a known to be a flirt or a charmer. Every female that they interviewed commented that he was very good looking.
Yeah, clearly.
He was like, I think it was his height. He's like 6 foot something. I think you get to 6'2" and above, and women start paying attention.
Okay, sure.
Not me. I'm not into men that are that. I like a solid 5'12" ish, 5'11" or 6 feet.
5'12". I think that would be what we
yeah,
call
I'm about
6
a 5'11"
feet.
to 6 foot. You're somewhere in there, and I'm like, that's my number.
Well, I'm 5'10", so...
No, you're not. You're...
Yes, I am.
Okay, then 5'10" is my number. I'm really into 5'10", guys. I just thought it was funny. They're interviewing this man who is married. And they only interview females. Like from a diner and from this restaurant or the flower shop, everywhere that he stops or that he's known to go to. And they all comment on how good looking he is. So I gotta try. The pictures I saw of him wasn't anything special, but I should look and see if I can find some from when he was younger. So she recalls he was in a good mood that day. He was friendly. He was social. He
She
goes
was just saying their interactions were normal.
normal. Exactly. So after he finishes with her, at least according to Unsolved Mysteries, in the same store is like a little flower shop
They
area.
said it was right next door.
Or next door, yeah. He walks into the flower shop and he asks an employee named Donna if another employee he called by name, which we don't ever get her name,
No.
was working that day. She said, no, that employee doesn't come in until 4 o'clock that day, and said, but I'm happy to help you. He said no to her because he wanted to order some flowers, and for some reason, this other employee was the only one who was able to help him with that.
Well, he said, she knows what I like.
Ding, ding, ding. We're going to put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later. So he had let his wife know, I'm going to guess, because there's no information I could find that he'd called her to say he was heading back, but just that he'd be home around 3 o'clock that day. I'm going to guess that was something he communicated to her when he left, because this is kind of where our timeline falls off. We don't know what time he got to the stores per se, but we do know he was expected home around 3 o'clock, and it was about an hour drive home. So
They said it was around noontime.
Yeah, this is early afternoon. Okay. However, the wife doesn't become concerned until around midnight that he hasn't come home.
Yeah. I thought that was weird.
My only, and this is my own opinion, was this something that he had a habit of maybe...
We're throwing speculation in now.
Well, the fact that your wife isn't worried when you don't come home right away, and then no alarm bells are raised until midnight. Like, I don't know, maybe he had a habit of like going and grabbing some drinks and whatever. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting that the alarm wasn't raised until around midnight. And even then, concerned for her own personal safety and the fact that they had a child at home, she did not feel it was necessary to get in the car and drive around and look for him or file a police report. And then at 3 a.m, she gets up and decides to call a friend. We don't know who that friend is, to see if this person has seen or heard from her husband. They tell her they have not. So she waits till morning time and then files a police report with the local police that he is missing. However, the police are not able to turn up any leads until the body is found.
I was gonna say, it doesn't matter because the body's found a few hours later.
Yeah. So his wife wants you to know that he was completely nude, and this really bothers her.
Yeah.
I think it would bother you. This is the most vulnerable anyone can be, is naked, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's
a
little disturbing that your spouse has now, not only were they killed, but they were stripped of all their clothing.
She doesn't understand why this was done to him. It's lost on her what would be the point behind it.
Yeah, I think it's actually lost on all of us.
Yeah. There is some speculation that he had been left naked to humiliate him or his family. However, she has speculated that it might have been done to help remove any identification of him, so taking it longer to make him identify and to remove any sort of evidence left. Okay? That's the wife's thought. There are no cloth fibers found in the 2 bullet wounds. The police believe that he was at least naked from the waist up. if not all, when he was
When he
shot.
was shot.
Yeah. The 38 caliber weapon was believed to have been used. His wallet and carrying the symbol, he was a Mason, one of the Freemasons, was missing, along with his clothing, including his boots and his cowboy hat. And also,
that is the biggest shame right
that's
there.
the biggest crime.
They stole
A man's boots and cowboy hat.
Yeah.
So also his belt buckle that had the Mason symbol on it.
And that is a huge shame too.
So I looked this up.
You looked what up?
What the Mason symbol means. Because do you have any clue? I know nothing about this agency, the Freemasons. Do you?
No.
No, I think we talked about it before. There's several symbols that are important to the Masons.
Okay.
So I looked up belt buckles from that time frame, and the symbol that was being used is the widely known, recognized one with the architect tool of the square and a compass with a G in the middle.
Yeah, that's I think the basic one we imagine when we see it.
So ancient tradition says the letter G capitalized placed at the center of any symbol represents God and geometry. The belief is that God is primary requirement in order to become a Freemason. No atheists are allowed to be a member of this organization. Fun fact. So this symbol embodies the. Oh, hold on.
Bless you.
Oh,
Bless you
sorry,
again.
guys. So I was trying to see because the fact that this belt buckle was taken, I wondered if this had anything to do with it. So I started going down the rabbit hole of.
You got distracted. That's what you're
side
saying.
quest. But these are architect tools used in rituals to teach the symbols of their lessons, often seen of geometry is powerful science that helps unravel the mysteries and the wonders of nature. So there you go. You learned about that.
I sure did.
You didn't think it was, no, you don't think it was weird that was taken from him? You just think it took it for the funsies?
You take a man's cowboy boots and hat, sure, you can take the belt buckle too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So these clothes and items were never found.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? His van was located the next day on Ebenezer Road in Adams County, 22 miles from where his body had been discovered. His watch was still hanging on the gear shift, and his toolbox was in it, along with other parts and supplies. The police inspected the van and found fingerprints and hair samples that they had not been able to match to anybody. The investigators that looked into this death came with those three theories you were talking about earlier. So here they are. First, drug runners. Okay.
Yes.
Did you have something to say?
No.
So he was a licensed pilot and owned a small plane, which he flew out of a makeshift landing strip on some farming property that he
His
owned.
farm. I said it was his
Yeah.
farm.
He told Joanna that he had been approached on occasion to fly drugs. If he could go to a certain airport, go in, have a cup of coffee, come back out, there would be money laying under his seat. However, he claims that he refused this opportunity.
Okay.
He didn't want to be involved in anything illegal. And in fact, it got to the point where he told them that if they kept bothering him, he would contact the authorities.
So this is their theory, but we have zero evidence that any of
Other
this
than
happened.
just him telling his wife
wife.
that this happened.
Yeah.
Okay? The second theory revolves around his youngest brother, Vernon. Man, this family with their names.
I like that name.
Permon and Vernon. Vernon was 12 years younger than him, and they were best friends. They got along very well. In 1982, Vernon was called to testify in an organized crime case. And Paramount actually took him to the hearing. He was like a support system. He was not allowed to go into the court hearing because it wasn't open to the public.
Uh-huh.
So he had to wait outside. During this, he thought that he was being followed by somebody.
Okay.
Okay. So there is speculation that did he become part of a target for organized crime, hoping that that would lure Vernon, the real target, out to Paramount's funeral so then they could kill him there?
Perman.
What?
Perman, not Paramount.
Oh, yeah, Perman. Come to his funeral and then they could kill his younger brother again?
I don't know.
It actually turned out, and I don't know why, I'd love to know more information on this. His brother didn't go to his funeral.
Yeah, I know.
Is that?
That is weird.
Yeah, okay. I
But
was like,
if it might be because he was in protective custody, because he
maybe, yeah, if he testified at a federal
at a
organized crime case, yeah. So, and the last theory was that this may have been a crime of passion. Police noted...
because of how good looking he was.
Yeah. Police noted that his business placed him into many households alone. They say with, quote, family members. I'm going to guess wives, right?
Well,
they believed that, and his wife included, believed that other women found him very attractive. However, the wife said she wants you to know she did not believe this theory because a crime of passion would have normally been very swift. That's not that she thought her husband was actually cheating or like he was a devout husband and Christian and so he would have not done that, was that the method of which he was murdered does not match up with a typical crime of passion. That is weird to me.
I don't know. I thought this was funny because they literally put it that he's just has
every adult film ever from the 80s. He's like the repairman that comes to the house on Saturday and like,
well, but I'm like,
can I make you some lemonade?
But if you're going to repair an appliance, it's in the house.
Yes.
This is just what you do.
Well, there was a lot of lonely women at home on Saturday mornings, I guess.
Oh, dear.
It's funny, as I was watching this, I was like, I think these men have watched too many movies on HBO. So, she believes the wife's theory is that because he was beaten, someone was trying to get some secretive information out of him, that he had been like beaten for information and that they'd finally gotten it. Again, information on what? I got nothing. So that is where it leaves us on Unsolved Mysteries, and that if you have any information, to please call in. Okay, are you ready for your update?
Oh, I already know. I looked into this one.
It's still unsolved.
I know.
That is nuts.
There's zero new evidence. Zero new evidence that has come forward.
Yeah. So they have asked repeatedly for new evidence. And I read...
They've opened the case multiple times.
They have reopened it multiple times trying to get information. What is crazy to me is there is not even like a Facebook page about... Like, this is pretty common nowadays for at least like a Facebook page to be established for you to send tips and information into or to keep the public aware. They have not even set that up. There's nothing.
That could just be the police. I think
it's usually set up by the family.
I thought I'd read that his wife had
passed away. I think one of his sons had passed away. I mean, there's several news articles that have come out about this, trying to like add some fuel to the fire to try to get some new information on this, but there is literally nothing out there. One of the news articles that I read said that there had been some kind of the police have moved further away from two of the three theories. They don't think this had anything to do with organized crime or drug running. They, based on whatever at least they have, that it is more likely that there might have been some extramarital activities happening that caused an angry husband or something. But again, because this is still an ongoing investigation, we have no clue here or why that might be the case. So,
Okay.
yeah, as of today, there's a $25,000 reward being offered for any information leading to the killer. If you have any such information, you are encouraged to call the sheriff's office at 513-732-7545. That's it. I mean, so we're shooting 2 for 2. This Unsolved Mysteries was a bust.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got on a Reddit forum on it.
Oh, I didn't get on a Reddit forum.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you...
I got annoyed with it real quick. I did. I mean...
Oh, what was this? What was the speculation on Reddit?
Everyone speculated it was extramarital affair.
Yeah.
But...
And why did that make you annoyed? Just
Because
because there's no evidence about it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Just that repairmen like to cheat on their wives?
Yeah. I guess. I mean, that's just the assumption being made.
I, one time, have hired...
I thought of this and I wasn't going to bring it up, but you now have creaked that door open.
Okay. So Ben works 50 hours a week. And there are times that he comes home and I'm like, babe, I bought this or I did this or I ripped up the floors and I need you to now come in and take care of it.
Fix it.
Fix it or build it or put it together. It came in a box and I don't know what I'm doing. I think I put together one of the pieces of furniture incorrectly before, or was like...
Or the fireplace that you bought all the stuff and then handed me the box and said, I bought this. I don't know how it goes on. Can you do this?
Yes. So I bought something from Wayfair, and on Wayfair, you just click a box that says that you would like, when it's delivered, to also have it put together. It was our bed frame.
Yep.
And it was like, I don't know if they were running a special. It was like $20 extra. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice of me. I'm such a good wife that I am going to order this, and whoever delivers it is also going to be the same person that comes in and puts it together, and it's going to be done, and Ben won't have to worry about it at all. How nice of me.
How nice.
I thought I was the best wife in the world. First off, it's not the same guy that drops the Amazon package off, or it's not the mailman.
Okay.
Okay?
No, I know that.
I didn't know that. I assumed
Well, I
that this
know
was
it
a
now.
2-in-1 service. Instead, Wayfair hires a third-party service person to come. They don't background check. They don't do anything. I looked this up after the fact. Okay? This man comes to our door.
It
now,
was
mind
not
you,
a man.
Ben is not home. And we have a Ring camera. This guy,
This boy.
he's
He's like 22 years old.
he looks... Schitt's Creek was really popular at the time. I think there's a character in there that like does a bunch of wood building or stuff like that. This guy looked like that guy.
Let's just say he was in much better shape than
He
I
was covered in tattoos. He had like this tool belt around his waist. I think this guy thought that he was in a movie, an adult film. And yeah, mind you, I'm home with 3 kids at this point.
I have no. Let's just
and
make
my
this
husband
very
has
clear.
no
I have
clue.
no idea this is
Yeah.
happening. That she's even bought this thing.
Yeah, Ben doesn't know I bought this bed. Or this was all going to be a surprise that he was going to come home and it was all going to be
it
done.
was a surprise.
So this man, I open the door and I take one look at him and I think, Uh-oh. This has taken a turn in a way I was not expecting. Because my husband is going to see a ring notification and he's going to look at it, assuming that it's an Amazon package being delivered. And instead, there is a young, buff dude walking into the house with a tool belt on, and your wife is inviting him into the house.
Here's the best part. I didn't see him on the Ring camera.
I was freaking out because I'm thinking if I'm a wife and my husband has hired a house cleaner to come over to try to do something nice for his wife and a woman shows up in a French maid outfit, we're going to have a problem.
I don't see him on the Ring camera. I come home from work.
Oh, that's right. He was still here.
And he's in my bedroom. And I walk back here to drop off my work, and he's in my bedroom building something. And he is a nice guy.
Here's the thing. This man was very nice and very professional.
We can't call him a man. He was this literally 23-year-old. And he jumps up, hey, how's it going? And introduces himself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I am so caught off guard. And I walk out and I was like, what the heck is going on here?
I had no words. I was trying to do something nice. It was funny. The guy,
yes, obviously,
the kid was nice. He put the bed together very nicely. I mean, it was all said and done.
Then he tried to sell us insurance.
No, piano or guitar lessons.
No, he tried to sell us life insurance.
Oh, life insurance. Yeah.
In case
I thought he left a card for piano lessons or guitar lessons. Anyways,
we got way off track here.
Yeah. That's just my one story of having someone other than
a repairman.
Yeah. Come into our house. Ben fixes everything here.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I got on the Reddit forum. That's where we were really at with this.
Oh, that's
story.
right.
And that was everyone's
speculation. Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's possible.
Yeah.
I will say there is a few things that it doesn't add up. Why was he beaten? Then shot.
I don't know. Maybe he caught them in the act. I don't know.
That was a lot of people's speculation. They caught him in the act. That's why his shirt was off. He got a, angry husband.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I said, because this is still an open investigation, we don't have access to what the police do. I don't know. And maybe it's just the theory that organized crime typically don't go after family members of people. If they want that person silenced, that they'll take care of it themselves, But again, it's all speculation. But if you have any information, please reach out and share your tip. All right. So this last story Ben and I are going to do together because, excuse me. This is a interesting subject that I actually find fascinating. What did you think about it, babe?
Yeah, this has been talked about a lot, not just on this, but
yeah,
growing up, you heard all kinds of.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to share near-death experiences.
Yeah, you want to look into it. There's books, there's movies, there's YouTube, there's podcasts, there's all kinds of stuff. But they featured two stories in specifically.
Yep.
So the first one was about a girl named Crystal. She shares her story that on March 13th, 1982, she was 7 years old. And she attended a birthday party, and it was a swimming party. And this is in the town of Pocatello, Idaho. Very small.
Yeah, we've driven through Pocatello.
Yeah, I actually think Pocatello is beautiful.
It is a beautiful.
Yeah. She had recently learned how to swim and felt very comfortable in the water. However, she got out of the pool, the shallow end that she was swimming in, and was walking down just on the edge of the pool towards the deep end when a boy accidentally pushed her into the pool.
This kind of sounded like he bumped into her not knowing.
Yeah. So she's not able to swim in the deep end, which I would point out means that she doesn't know how to swim.
It's
but that's
Probably
just
safe.
yeah. And she begins to drown. She actually loses consciousness at this point while she's in the water. So she's pulled from the pool and rushed to the hospital. Okay? And a team led by Dr. Melvin Moores starts working on her. He had noted that she had almost no brain activity and basically that she wasn't going to make it. Okay? At 3:30 p.m., she's declared clinically dead. 20 minutes later, however, she's revived. During this time, Crystal claims or tells us that she underwent a near-death or after-death experience. So, she says that when she first awoke, she was in a tunnel with colored bricks on the walls with a light at the end of it. Okay? And a woman named Elizabeth appeared and told her that she was going to help her. So, first off, real quick, I'm going to just tell you the story that they tell us in Unsolved Mysteries. This Crystal goes into much greater detail about this story. She was actually brought onto the Oprah Winfrey show as like a young teenage girl.
Oh, really?
And shares, it's like a 13-minute clip, a much more in depth and like a kind of timeline, because Unsolved Mysteries gives us a few little things that were in note that Crystal noted, obviously, but she goes into a much more depth conversation with Oprah on this show and shares her story. Okay. It was actually very sweet to watch because you can tell she's a little uncomfortable. She's a little nervous. She did not seem to have any desire to be in the spotlight by any means, but she shares a little bit more with that she saw family members there, people that she recognized, like much more. And that Elizabeth had explained to her that she was her guardian angel and that she actually, this Crystal was the last person that she was helping through life before she was going to actually be born and gain a body of her own. Okay. She explains how she physically felt, Oprah asks her all kinds of questions. It was very fascinating to listen to. So if anyone finds near-death experiences or wants to know more, it's on YouTube. It's really easy, and I can even link it below in the show notes. So Elizabeth appears to her and tells her that she's there to help her and that she led her into the light and that she is now has a feeling that she is in heaven. She also says that at some point, and again, in Oprah, she goes into more of the detail about the timeline, but that she sees herself on an operating table being worked on by the doctors. Realizing that she wouldn't be with her family, she decides to go back to her body and within seconds awakes and is back in her body. She remained in a coma for 3 days. However, she's sent home and is completely regains.
Yeah, she fully recovers.
Fully recovers her health. A few weeks later, she meets with the doctor and she lets him know that she remembers him, even though she never actually met him.
Saw him or met him in the hospital.
So that's kind of, we just kind of very quickly get her story. And like I said, this could be a much longer conversation if we were recapping the Oprah episode, because she gives some amazing details that she talks about. But that's kind of the first story we get in Unsolved Mysteries. And then Ben has our next subject that they talk about.
We get told the story of Thomas Sawyer. Mm-hmm. Tom Sawyer.
I did find that interesting. That was his name, yeah.
And he's from New York. He's a snowplow operator. This is what I did love, okay? Robert Stack tells us about Thomas Sawyer, okay? Up until the point with his near-death experience, which was, they didn't give us the exact time, but they'd said it happened 10 years prior. So roughly 1979 or late 70s is when he had his near-death experience. This is the word he uses, Robert Stack, that Thomas Sawyer had lived 30. He was 33 years old, roughly around his near-death experience, and he'd lived a normal, uneventful life. Ouch.
I don't. What does that mean?
But
I think I live a pretty normal life. You and I are married. We've got 2 kids, a dog and a cat, or 3 kids, a dog and a cat, like that same sort of like standard thing. But my life has not been uneventful.
Well, this is the best part. Okay, so Robert Stack pretty much just throws this guy into the bus that, hey, you haven't done anything with your life. But then come to find out, this guy grew up racing bicycles.
Yeah.
And qualified for the Olympics.
This guy's lived more of an eventful life than I have in that aspect.
He qualified for the Olympics in 1968. I'd say that qualifies for an event in life. Anyways, sorry, that's my little tangent. But Thomas Sawyer believed to be, he said, listen, up until this point, I'd been agnostic. I didn't really believe in God. I just thought.
Well, agnostic is different than atheist. He just, that something spiritual may or may not be happening, but he didn't want to put a label on it.
Anyways, so one day he's working on his truck and he has
this
the
gives me
tires
anxiety.
off. So that I have this fear.
I know you do.
This happening. I enjoy working on the vehicles in our house, but this is a fear of mine. He's underneath the truck. The tires are off. The truck moves, and his truck falls on top of him. And
how do you prevent that from happening just from my...
Well, there's a lot of ways but at the end of the day, it's always scary messing with the truck that's lifted. Anyways, we're not getting into that. I heard that. I'm like, oh man, nope, no, I get a little squirmish around that stuff. Anyways, this falls on him. He says, obviously, he loses oxygen for 15 minutes, and he technically pretty much
brain dead.
He's dying. Paramedics get there. There was yelling and screaming. Neighbors are running over.
Yeah, people are trying to physically lift this truck off of him.
Said the paramedics got there. They were finally able to get the truck off of him, and he's rushed to the hospital. Now, he tells his experience of what he had. He says, he goes, it was like falling asleep, but then instantly waking up. And he says he saw a beautiful light. The light became like a tunnel. He goes in, and he says he saw everything. He said he saw his whole life practically at the same time.
Yeah. Complete consciousness and awareness of everything. Yeah.
But he also says, when I saw the light, and he goes, I just felt like I knew this was right. He said, I felt I could ask a question and I knew I was getting the right answer. Like the way he describes it, it's this all-encompassing.
Yeah, kind of like a veil being lifted off your eyes, like a complete understanding of, he even said like mathematics and the universe and history. Like he had this great understanding of everything.
So he says he was given a choice. You can go back or you can stay in the light. And he chose to stay in the light.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen. He goes back.
Yeah.
He makes the joke that he's the only person he knows that got kicked out of heaven.
Yeah.
So, fair. Here's the best part. The guy gets released from the hospital that day.
That was wild.
No broken bones. They said he just had a little internal bleeding. I'm like, okay.
Well,
that might be serious.
Yeah. Let's pay attention to that.
Might want to watch that.
Yeah.
Just saying. I would imagine today, if you had a little internal bleeding, you had a truck fall on you, you might spend the night at the hospital.
Probably depends on what your insurance says.
Anyways.
You don't want to get into that.
I'm not getting into that. Anyways, he says that later on he's sitting on the couch and a name comes to him. Max Planck. Says a name out loud.
Yeah, he says it out loud to his wife or something.
And then all of a sudden, and his wife's like, "Who's that?" He goes, "I don't know, but we'll be hearing more about him." Doesn't know. And he says he starts writing down equations,
Yeah,
complex,
insane mathematical equations.
and he does tell us earlier on, he was a terrible student, and up until this happened to him, he'd never read a single book in his life.
Yeah.
Never picked up or read a book. So for him to be able to understand mathematics and the, I don't know, all this equations,
Yeah, he said he was like studying
physics.
quantum physics and stuff
Yeah.
and reading about that and understanding it.
And he was drawing symbols. He drew the Greek symbol of psi. I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah.
But, so he goes to the library to try to figure out like what's going on. He gets referred to this book, opens it up. That symbol is right there on the cover. And guess whose name is there? Max Planck. So all of a sudden now he understands things that he never understood. We don't
Was
really
Max
know.
Planck the author or?
He's some mathematician, I
Oh, a
guess.
mathematician. Okay.
I don't know. He just said his name was on there.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden he understands this stuff. We aren't really told how that affects his life, like what.
Yeah,
what purpose
I will
this
say it was
serves,
really
but-
interesting because I was watching this and I was like, okay, did anyone check these mathematical equations? Were they correct?
I don't know.
Like,
They don't say.
yeah,
So, but clearly now he is a man of religion. He
yeah,
says,
he's a believer.
yeah. So then we get our experts coming
Yeah, there's
in.
two different opinions, correct?
So yeah, I'm going to give you. So we get Glenn O. Gabbard. He talks.
Mm-hmm.
They say doctor. He's just a psychiatrist. I looked him up.
Oh, he doesn't have his PhD.
I'm sure he does his PhD, but did you see they put MD on there? Like that's not.
He's not a
he's not
yeah. Okay.
He's just a doctor. He's just a psychiatrist. So he tells us what you remember what he says?
This is just our brain. Yeah, there's no life after death. Your brain is trying to cope with the most unimaginable event of your
He
life
says
is
this
dying.
is a psychological event where your brain is refusing to accept the terms that it's died.
Yeah.
And that does these things. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Supposedly. And then these people are brought
Developed
back to life.
from where? Coping mechanisms are development over time.
I don't know. And then we get Raymond Moody. And he pretty much he
studies these, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was a professor in Georgia.
Okay.
And he pretty much says, "No, listen, I've been studying this. These people know things that they shouldn't know, and the fact of they know things that happen to them. They see things they shouldn't. This is not just a psychological event. This is a physical event." But then the best part is we get Glenn back, and he's really upset that people are talking about this. Because he says, listen, this is fantasizing suicide.
Yeah, I thought that
He's
was
upset.
an interesting take on this. That I was not expecting it to go that direction.
Well, and then
Because when I hear near-death experiences, that's not what I think of.
yeah, and even Tom Sawyer's like, no, I would never even think about that.
Yeah, he said he actually has more joy and fulfillment and excitement about life, knowing what is to come.
Yeah, and Glenn Gabbard's point is, when you talk about how death and the life after and all this is so amazing, it's going to cause people that maybe are on the cusp to want to
Take their own lives.
take their own life. And okay, it's a conversation,
Yeah.
but
It was an interesting point that I don't see the two correlating. Yeah.
so we get Robert Stack back pretty much saying, are these near-death experiences, are these people really seeing this, or is this a psychological event that the people are making up in their minds?
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I mean, that's the most unanswerable question, right? So one thing that we don't have is what exactly happens after death.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where either you're a faith person or you're a science person.
So what's your take?
I believe, of course, I believe these 100%. You got a 7-year-old girl. Why would she make anything of that up?
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid point.
I mean, yeah. So I have heard there was a lady I knew growing up. She's since passed away. Her name was Kathy Woods. She shared a story with me one time and about I don't know if she called it a near death experience or what, but she was sharing something that had happened to her. She was struggling with some medical issues and she had like I guess an out of body experience. I don't know if it was far as like seeing the light, but had the sensation of like looking down at her body and realizing that a piece of her was no longer in it and making the conscious choice to re-inhabit that body and to fight with whatever she had left in her to get through this that she was struggling with, this physical health issue. And if anyone knew this woman, she's like this kind, sweet old lady. Again, what would be the point of her? She didn't broadcast this to people. Like, this was not something she shared openly. So I'll tell you, I did some more research on this 7-year-old, Crystal, because we have seen several people become pseudo famous through Unsolved Mysteries, and they go on to do all kinds of other shows. You and I, you know how even I feel about psychics that want to insert themselves and they have all the answers and they want to make money and they want to get notoriety. They write books, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
This Crystal girl, which she's now a full grown woman, let me tell you, she does not even have, she has a social media page. She has a Facebook page, a personal one that she hasn't updated since 2021.
Okay.
There is nothing.
Respect there.
Yeah. There's nothing on her social media page about her appearance on Unsolved Mysteries. She does not share this. She does not make it public. And today, she is a licensed clinical social worker, is married, and has children. She has a certification in eye movement and, I don't know what this word is, we're just going to move past that. It's an EMDR, diabetic behavioral therapy, alcohol and drug counselor. She's also worked at several Idaho hospitals, working with people in grief counseling, behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, group therapy. So, and works in couples therapy with people struggling with addiction. This woman has gone on to just seem to want to do good in the world. And that was one thing that guy said. The other case.
Yeah, the doctor said that because he noticed these people that have these experiences then come out and all of a sudden they're reinvigorated in life and they're more focused on not themselves but others.
Serving.
And the people around them and doing good.
Being a light in the world.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. Even the wife of Tom Sawyer says he is a different man. He cares about me more. He cares about our kids. He cares about strangers.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't. What are your thoughts? I think these stories are beautiful. I love hearing them.
Well, I guess what I found it interesting. The two doctors.
Yeah.
The two experts. Mm-hmm. And the one guy saying, listen, this is all a psychological event. Like, this is not happening. This is not real. And this is why. And I really think this comes down to just if you believe or not.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then, then
you have to scientifically make it make sense, right?
Or you will just find a way to say, listen, this is how this came about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I've said this before on this podcast. I am a God-fearing man.
Yeah. You and I are people of faith. I have a faith. We have a faith and a belief in an afterlife.
Well, and here's a question. This is what I thought about this. Listen, I have a belief in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. But if you're someone that believes that you actually have a soul, I do believe that we all have souls. Well, souls don't die.
Yeah.
So if something happens, that soul has to go somewhere and do something, even in that time the medical people are trying to revive you.
Yeah.
The soul will never die.
Yeah.
I believe. This is my belief. So the soul will never die. So it will do something in that time. And it is amazing what the medical world has been able to do. They have literally brought people back from the dead.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So in that time that people are supposedly dead,
Or in
that soul
in
must
between
continue
time.
to live. It doesn't die with the body.
Yeah.
This is how I believe it. So that soul is going to experience something and then be able to come back, and a lot of people get the opportunity to remember it and then share it.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe in a soul, if you believe that your body is just your body and it's going to die, then yeah, you're going to come up with a way to disregard these stories.
Well, I don't want to say disregard, but you have to try to come up with your best scientific or I guess I would say logical answer. You know, how do you prove or disprove something like unto that? And I think, yeah, I've heard that theory before, that this is just like a huge dopamine release of the body, and that, you know, it's your brain's way of a coping mechanism of coming to terms with what is happening.
Well, and
Everyone has entitled to what they believe. That makes me really sad to not think of. I would say, if you listen to Crystal's story on Oprah, the things that she talks about and the way that she shares it, and the fact that she's not doing this for clout or money or any way, shape, or form.
I don't know,
Yeah. I love hearing these stories. Like I said, I think these near-death experiences or end-of-life experiences are fascinating. On the counterpoint, I always find it fascinating to what science tries to explain to us things like this.
yeah, here's the thing. I believe these experiences happen.
Yeah.
But someone might not.
Yeah.
And they might believe in psychics. And they would come to me and say, "Hey, Ben,
Yeah.
how can you believe in that? But you clearly just disregard psychics." I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So it really just boils down to what you believe. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us, even when evidence comes forth, a lot of us, if you don't believe it, you're going to disregard it. Clearly, like this expert did. He just said, "No, this is actually what happened."
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say. So if you guys have any thoughts or anything you want to share on that or anything else, please let us know. You can let us know in the comments on Spotify. You can reach out to us at unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Instagram. The handle for that is unsolvedcouplepod. We have a TikTok account, and we have a Facebook account, Unsolved Couple Podcast Facebook discussion group, where every week I post Let's Talk About It. And I would love to hear and see what people have to say. Okay, so with all of that, I'm going to put out the plea once again for you guys to rate and review us 5 stars on anywhere that you stream our services. That helps us as a small independent podcast to be able to gain more traction. We've set some big goals for this upcoming year, and we are excited. And it all actually, we can work as hard as we want to, but it 100% depends on you guys sharing this with a friend, rating and reviewing, and continuing to download our episodes. Okay, so, babe, I have a question for you.
Okay, I have an answer. 35.
If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and or family assume you had done to get arrested?
I had been arrested
Yeah.
No explanation.
Hypothetically, and we've got no clue what happened. We have to make an assumption. What do you think our assumption is going to be?
How about we give the answer for each other?
Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. So do you want me to give you yours?
Yeah.
Okay. My assumption is going to be that you lost your temper with somebody. And it escalated to the point of some sort of altercation.
So assault is what you're saying. I'm going to go out and assault somebody.
I think that they probably deserved it if it got to that point. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Yours?
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? I get arrested and you have no clue and you're on your way to the police station to bail me out. What do you think I've been arrested for?
Indecent exposure.
That's so funny. That's what I was going to say about myself.
I know.
Do you think I was spot on with the losing your temper? What?
I would hope that I wouldn't.
I understand. I hope I also wouldn't take my clothes off in public, but
yes.
unintentionally, yeah, I guess indecent exposure, I could totally be out moonbathing or like skinny dipping, and I don't think you're allowed to do that in public.
No.
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 Indecent
frowned
exposure.
upon.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. What do you have any clue what you think you would have been? If it wasn't assault and losing your temper with somebody, you have no fallible traits in any ways. You're never going to steal anything.
No, I would hope not.
You don't drive fast. In fact, you're regressing in the speed that you drive.
Okay.
So what do you think it could be?
I think that's probably a good one. If someone pushed me to the limit.
Or the other thing you could, and now here's the thing, I would have been involved in this, is that I start something and you have to come in and finish it. Because I run my mouth to grown men in public sometimes if I think they're doing...
almost got me into trouble a few times.
I'm going to call you out. If you're being a loser, I'm going to tell you about it. See? And then I tell them, well, my husband is right here, and he will now take it from here.
He'll take care of it from here.
He's going to step in at this point. Yeah. It would probably be my fault both ways.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't like breaking rules, so indecent exposure is close as I'm probably going to get to getting arrested.
Yeah.
Or smart enough to a police officer to the point where I get in trouble for something along those lines. Probably. Okay, guys. Well, that is our episode. Ben and I will be back here next week when we recap one of the original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
Bye.